Managers must motivate people. Successful business owners hire qualified staff and inspire them to do their best. It's not a random act, but it's the result of understanding motivation and applying different motivation theories to suit the person involved. So by the end of this, you would understand that there's more than one way to motivate someone in a business setting. Think about what motivates yourself. Some people want to get the best marks possible. Some people want to enjoy class as much as possible and enjoy their teenage years as much as possible. Some people want compliments from teachers, from parents, from others that they've done a great job. Some people want the social connections of having good friends. Some people enjoy the challenge of learning new things, of mastering a new task. Some people fear failure. They do not wish to fail and get a bad mark or a mark that's less than what is expected. Others want to achieve success in high school so they can take the next step in their academic careers. If we were to ask everyone in the class, not everyone would be motivated by the same factors. And likewise, in a workplace, not everyone is motivated by money or acknowledgement or promotion. So it's about finding what works for each person. There's different types of rewards. Extrinsic rewards are provided by someone else. That's when you get paid at work, when a teacher gives you an A, when you're promoted to being a manager, when you win an award for the best mark in the business class, was any kind of acknowledgement provided by other people. And that can be rewarding. Certainly, most people will pick a job because of money. But there is other factors that are intrinsic, that come from within, such as the desire to do meaningful work. You might have standards for a project, and it's more important to you to do the work to your personal high standard, and less important that you receive a good grade. Ideally, you would want both, but for some people, the challenge of a new project, a new task, a new skill is rewarding. Feeling good about yourself, feeling that you're good at your job is important. Uh, Seeing that for example, you will need community service hours, and some people will choose whatever it takes to get the 40 hours as quick as possible. Others might pick and choose where they volunteer because they want to make a difference and they want to see that they are making a difference. We've covered this a little bit earlier when promoting products, when selling products, and the same thing happens in the workplace. People need to meet their most basic needs. So, money usually helps people meet their um, physiological and their safety needs of having enough food, getting to work, having a safe place to live. Then they're going to start seeking connections, meaningful relationships with coworkers, uh, meaningful relationships with their boss. People don't want their relationship with the manager to simply be do this, do that, do this. They want a bit of mentorship. They want to be treated as a valued member of the organization. People want to feel good about themselves. They want to feel like they've done a good job, that they made a difference on the project. And lastly, as people progress through their career, they want to advance, they want to climb the ladder, they want to acquire new skills, maybe get a second degree. They want to develop themselves into the best possible person. So now, if you're young and you're starting out and your compensation's not what you want just yet, you might be struggling with the first couple of needs there, and you won't be able to totally focus on the needs at the top of the pyramid until you take care of the bottom ones. But that's the idea. And here'd be a way how at work you can satisfy these needs. So if you're working 12 hours a day, sometimes this can happen in tech, 16-hour days for a startup company where you're grinding, that's going to start affecting people's physiological needs. One thing the work from home situation in 2020, 2021 has shown us is when people are still connected to their office, it's incredibly stressful, and people feel like they're on the clock the whole time, and they don't enjoy that. The job needs to be comfortable. If you're the office needs to have a certain degree of a window, a nice chair, some ventilation. If you're cramped into a broom closet or you're in a loud cubicle with everyone else, you won't be very, very motivated when you're on the job. Or, if you're not being paid well enough, and you're commuting so long to get to your cheap apartment, these are all going to disrupt your physiological needs at the office. So we have safety needs. The knowing that your job is safe. Uh, Manufacturing jobs, there's a chance of an accident, and companies need to make sure that procedures are in place to prevent accidents. No one wants a manager who's going to fly off the handle and be abusive, or nobody wants to take uh, grief from a customer. So there needs to be policies to prevent that from happening. And people need to understand that their position is secure, that they can't be fired or lose their job at a moment's notice, because that will affect their safety. Uh, Also just our physical safety. You need to be able to get to work safely and securely. If you're uh, working in a building that's 30 minutes from the bus stop in the winter, that is going to negatively affect your safety needs. When you get the chance you could get robbed, or it's late at night. These are some things that might impact safety needs. Now, you need to have pleasant interactions with coworkers who are supportive, and customers who are respectful, and a supervisor who gives honest feedback and cares for your development. Google has found that the most important thing to creating productive teams is to create a safe and trusting team where it's okay to be yourself and it's okay to fail. Then we get to esteem needs, being given a good job, having some status, being trusted to finish a big project, and being recognized when it is succeeded. And then lastly, self-actualization, having some say in job crafting allows people to choose exactly how they like. Maybe they want a little bit more of this type of duty, a little less of this type of duty. Flexible hours. It kind of gives some people ability to sort of customize their work experience, and it can help their self-actualization needs. A lot of workplaces will pay for professional development so that their employees keep building their skills. So the process theory of motivation is the idea that managers influence the behavior of the employees that lead to results. So if the manager is making sure that you're showing up on time, that you're working hard, that you have the tools to succeed, then they will, like, their job's to look after the people who get the results. The manager can't snap their fingers and make results happen. They need to make sure there's a process in the workplace so that the conditions for good results are in place. So it's like the manager can't run the treadmill for you. the manager can encourage you to get on the treadmill and run your hardest while you're out there. So that's the idea, like creating a workplace where behaviors that lead to results are in place. If the manager lets people come in late or lets people disrupt the meeting with idle chatter or lets people use their phones or lets people be rude to the customer, these little processes will add up and hurt the overall results. Now, an element to motivation is equity theory. Maybe you've noticed it yourself at school where you're happy with your mark and then your friend tells you what he or she received, and then you're a little upset because then you start considering yourself relative to your friend. And if you've noticed that hearing a friend's mark changes your opinion, that you've experienced equity theory. This would also be the number one reason that compensation should be kept confidential, because it can lead to a lot of problems. Because it's just as natural for anyone to compare themselves to others and what they receive. Uh, if people think that it's unfair, that there's a perceived inequity, they will be unhappy and actually tremendously unhappy. The person who was happy with their own paycheck last week could totally change their attitude if they hear that something unfair has happened. So, uh, and this is tricky. It's kind of the diplomatic skills, because not everyone is equally competent. So not everyone should be equally compensated, but you can still treat people with respect. Be discreet about important things. Explain your decisions as much as possible, and hopefully treat people on a case by case basis with being upfront and honest. Hopefully that will prevent inequality from overcoming the workplace. So, if you were watching The Last Dance during the lockdown period, it was a documentary on the Chicago Bull, and Scottie Pippen on the left had signed a contract early in his career because he had a large family. There was a disabled family member. He wanted to ensure that they were taken care of, and he was happy with that contract. He chose to sign it. He didn't have to sign it. It was like 3 million a year relative to today's contracts. It was super low. It was even low back then. But when um, the Bulls started giving bigger salaries to people like Tony Kukoc, who were rookies, then it poisoned the relationship. Scottie Pippen was okay with his own overall salary, but once he started seeing other people were paid more and that their accomplishments were legitimately less, it made a negative situation. And eventually that's why he left the team after Michael Jordan left. If that can make sense, that how what Scottie Pippen was fine when he first signed his contract, but when he saw the next year's round of contracts and how those players compared to him, it made him unhappy. Then we have expectancy theory. So there's needs three elements. The expectancy, working hard will result in the desired level of performance. So I come to work and I think about my job carefully. I do my best. I finish the project. I have to expect that if I do my best, I'm going to do a good job. Secondly, instrumentality. If I do a good job, I will be rewarded. So that if the manager needs to see that there has been a good job and acknowledge it with a promotion, a bonus, an award, a comment, something like that. The before, if the manager just said, "Yeah, good job, all right, next," there'd be no instrumentality. There has to be some award that's linked to the successful performance. And then also, the valence means I have to value the um, reward. So if I don't know if what would be an example of a reward that I might not value. Maybe I really want flex time to spend more time with my family. And they just keep giving me plaques and extra money. It's nice, but it's not really what I wanted. If there was the connection, okay, if I work hard, I will succeed on this project. If this project succeeds, we will all be rewarded and I'll get the flex time that I want so that I can spend more time with my family, then that would be expectancy theory working together. It needs all three elements. Here is Dilbert. It's a little bit of a cynical office. How do you feel when I give you positive feedback, Alice? Well, Alice is super competent. She's the best employee at the in the office. Underpaid. Well, how do you feel when I give you negative feedback? Well, underappreciated. Then what motivates you? The government makes certain rectangular pieces of paper. So for her, when she works hard and finishes her software on time, what she would value would be more pay for herself. And if she's just getting compliments instead of more pay, there's no valence and there's no expectancy theory at play. So sometimes setting goals can motivate people. They provide direction. You make sure that what you're working on is connected to the project. It sets objective standards and expectations. It establishes a frame of reference like increase sales by 50% in the next 12 months. Easily, recognize that. And then it helps you manage yourself because in 10 months' time, if the sales aren't there yet, those last 2 months you need to work hard. So goal setting theory can help. Likewise, if you have a goal in business, you're hoping to get a 92, and then the midterm marks come out and you're getting an 80. Okay, well, first step, you have to self-manage and really excel that last part of the year so that you can reach your goal. That's what we mean by self-management. It's not someone else can't make your goals happen for you. You monitor all the time. Am I on the right path? How far do I need to go? And adjust your behavior accordingly. So sometimes for real life, sometimes stretch goals can be interesting for a company, like something really, really ambitious. Uh, like Google set some stretch goals, one of which resulted in the creation of Gmail, one of which resulted in Google Glass, which was a bit ill-fated, a sort of augmented reality glasses that failed. Uh, Other things have resulted in Google Drive and cloud computing. So they don't hit on every one of their stretch goals, but they set big, audacious goals to challenge themselves. Airbnb invites all their engineers to participate in goal setting for the year. This gives people agency. This allows them to feel like they're part of it. If the manager says, all right, this is the goal, here's your goal, it's not meaningful. But if the people participate in the goal setting, then they're going to be bought in and they'll feel like they had some control and they'll be a little bit more committed. Zappos, the online shoe t- um, business, their objectives and key results. So objectives are big goals, key results are short benchmarks. So if your goal for the end of the summer is to run a marathon, that would be your objective, but that's not going to happen all along. You'll need to train regularly. One of your key results would be train 5 times a week. Now by the end of May, you'll have run 5K in 30 minutes. Then by the end of June, run 8K in 40 minutes. By the end of July, whatever it takes, those key results are little benchmarks that'll help you get there. And all of Zappos' objectives and key results are related to keeping customers happy. So everyone knows that they're going to be compensated based on how happy the customers are. So reinforcement theory, I think we understand it. It's kind of the stereotypical motivation, the carrot and the stick. People work for something good or to avoid a punishment. So it's sort of extrinsic motivation. Do you motivate the donkey by holding a carrot in front of them, or do you motivate the person, the donkey, by hitting it with a stick so that it walks faster. And that's a little harsh as an analogy, but also shows the limits of a reinforcement theory because people are not donkeys. So it's definitely out there, but it's not always the best in the real world. Some companies do what's called stacked rankings. They rank everyone in the company, from 1 to 100. And then some of them even fire the bottom 10% or the bottom 20%. Well, it creates this law of the jungle type atmosphere, and people try to hide their mistakes. They compete with each other, they sabotage each other, they focus only on the short term goals and not the long term goals, and it can create a lot of chaos. Microsoft used to do stack rankings, and the stock price flatlined for about 10 years between 2005 and 2015. Only when they went away from it did they get a little more collaboration and much improved stock performance. So understand that, and also do positive reinforcements work. Yeah, do from time to time, but eventually, if there's a skilled employee and they don't feel like they're making a difference and they don't feel like the company values them, then they might leave. There's If you watched the show Mad Men, Peggy started off as Don's secretary. She became a copywriter, and Don thought if he kept paying Peggy, uh, she should be happy. Why wouldn't she be happy? Who wouldn't want money? Don loved money, but Peggy didn't. Don was always getting the awards, even for work that Peggy had done, because he was the creative director. And eventually she became sick of, the lack of acknowledgement. She was still getting positive reinforcements like money, but she wasn't really getting the opportunity to grow and the acknowledgement she really wanted. So she left the company for a while, although perhaps in season 6 or 7 things might have changed. So just think about that, and think of different people. There's probably different ways that they're motivated. Not every theory fits everyone, and a good manager will combine elements from all of these to motivate their team.